All right, welcome back. So this time we're going to be learning about shutter speed, and trust me, this setting is also equally exciting as the aperture setting that you learned in the last video. Okay, now what exactly, first of all, is the shutter? So you're actually seeing that right in front of you on this image. This is how an actual shutter of a camera looks like, but from a diagram point of view, okay, something similar to what we've seen before. How does exactly where does the shutter come in the camera, and what exactly does it do? First of all, let's just try to understand that. Right, so this is the diagram of a DSLR. The light is coming in, as you can see here, whenever you take the shot, and there's a mirror which goes up, and then the sensor that we have on which the light falls, which forms the image. And just in front of that sensor, there is like this, think of it like a door, okay, in front of the sensor. So this door opens and closes, okay, you can even ignore this mirror right now. Just think of it like it doesn't exist, and it actually does not exist in a mirrorless camera. That's why those are called mirrorless cameras. In a DSLR camera, you have this mirror which reflects the light onto the viewfinder, okay? Don't want to get into that. It's not important, okay? Main thing is keep your eye on the shutter. So the light is coming in, and whenever you take this, you press the shutter button to take the shot, the shutter goes up and closes down, okay? And whatever light falls on your sensor, that is what forms the image. So first of all, let's actually just see a video of how all this looks. All right, so this is like a slow motion video of how things happen. You can see the mirror goes up, the shutter is this, and this is also going to go down, and this is what exposes the sensor, and it comes down and the mirror comes down. Okay, so this is for a DSLR camera. In a mirrorless camera, like I said, there's no mirror here. Okay, so the shutter is pretty much open always in those cameras, but I don't want to get into that discussion. Just want to show you this video again. Mirror goes up every time you take the shot. That's the sound that you hear also. Then the shutter goes up and closes, okay? So now the question is, now that you know what shutter is, okay, that it allows the light to fall on the sensor whenever you take the shot, what exactly is shutter speed? Let's get into that discussion. All right, so let's just try to understand it like this. This is the sensor, okay, that we just saw. So this is where the light falls on. And actually, the shutter basically comprises of the front curtain and the back curtain, or the rear curtain, okay? So they both open up one after the other, and they allow the light to go in. So shutter is not like just one thing which goes up and down. No, it's actually two curtains. They're called shutter curtains. The first one goes up and the second one goes down. It works like that. And then they both close, okay? Don't worry about that. Even if you don't know this, it's absolutely fine. Is not going to impact your learning in any way. We are more concerned about what shutter speed is. So remember, we were changing those settings in the shutter speed. We saw a fraction, like we saw something like 1 by 60. We saw something like 1 by 50. So it's nothing but, this fraction is nothing but the duration for which the shutter remains open. For example, 1 by 50 means 1 by 50th of a second. So let's say if your shutter speed is set to 1 by 50 on your camera, okay, and you take a shot, that means the shot that you just took, these curtains or the shutter basically opened and closed in so fast that it was just 1 by 50th of a second. You're literally dividing 1 second by 50 times, okay? But like you're going to find out later in this course, you can even have a shutter speed of, let's say, 2 seconds. Okay, you can set that on your camera. So it doesn't always, as you're going to find out later, have to be in fractions. We can even have it a very slow shutter speed. So these are called slow shutter speeds, and something like 1 by, let's say, 1000 is called as a fast shutter speed, right? Because closes very fast, closes very slow. 2 seconds is still a long time. Now the question is, okay, how does it impact our shot? So we're going to do an exercise for that so you'll exactly see, but just to tell you, a faster shutter speed will freeze any motion. Okay, that's because it's quickly shutter just opens and closes, so it doesn't really allow too much of light to fall on the sensor. Okay, so let's say if you're doing sports photography and you want to capture someone like an athlete who is jumping, okay, a fast shutter speed will be required. But if you want to produce an artistic blur deliberately, okay, and I'll be showing you some examples of where blurs can also be used artistically, okay, you'll use a slower shutter speed. But right now, don't worry, because later on I will be showing you some examples. First of all, let's actually do an exercise for a fast shutter speed and for a slow shutter speed, and let's see exactly what happens and what is the difference when we take both these shots. So let's go there. All right, welcome to this next exercise, which is all about shutter speed. And this first exercise, we're going to be experimenting with a faster shutter speed. You can see here that I've set my shutter speed to 4 hundredth of a second. We are literally going to divide a second by 400 times. That's how fast this shot will be taking. That's how fast the shutter will open and close. And you already know by now that that is going to freeze the motion in the shot. Now you must be thinking, Kush, where is the motion in the shot? Because this is just a figure. It's not going to be moving. So don't worry. We are actually, just for this shot, and by the way, before I just tell you what we're going to do, I should again point out, don't worry about the other two settings right now. So even though right now you also know about aperture, but still, don't just worry about these two settings right now. Just keep your eye only on shutter speed right now, okay? So 400th of a second now, where's the movement? So what I'm going to do is we're actually just going to tease Batman a bit, because what I'm going to do is we're just going to pretend that I'm just going to move my hands like this and I'm trying to tickle Batman, okay? So I know it's just slightly ridiculous, but it'll just help serve the purpose, okay? So we're just trying to annoy Batman like this, and I'm moving my fingers like this, and now at the same time, I'm going to take a shot at 400th of a second. And as you will be able to guess, that is going to freeze the motion of the hand. So even though I'm moving my hand, ultimately when we take this shot, it should still be a frozen hand. So let's try this, okay? I'm trying to tease Batman here, not a good idea, but still, let's just see. Okay, so I was moving my hand, but let's see this shot. You can see even though I was moving my hand, if I just zoom in, it's still sharp, right? That's because we were using a faster shutter speed, okay? And Batman here looks a bit angry. I hope he's not too angry, because he has to go through that again, because we still have a slow shutter speed exercise. We're going to do the same thing, and you're going to see the difference in both these shots. All right, so this is the slow shutter speed exercise, and this time again, I've made some changes to the f-stop number and ISO. Don't worry about that. Now, what do we see here? We see something like 1 inverted commas. We're not seeing a fraction anymore. So first of all, let me just talk about that, okay? Remember, we change our shutter speed like this, and again it goes into fractions. So this was, let's say, now you know this is 1/6 of a second. I go slower, 1/5 of a second, 1/4 of a second, 1/2 a second. And if you keep on going, at some point it shows you it's 1 inverted commas. That just means we're talking about a full second. If I were to take this shot right now, it'll be such a slow shot that the shutter will actually open and close in 1 whole second. So it's going to be an extremely slow shutter speed shot. And I can go up to like this to even 30 seconds, okay? But those are used slightly for different types of photography, which I'm not going to discuss right now. But basically, you can leave your shutter open as long actually as you want, okay? Right now, let's just use 1 second, okay? And let's see how the shot will look if we do the same thing to Mr. Wayne we did last time. So trying to tickle him or tease him, and just this time I'm going to take the shot, and this time you're going to see it's going to be different, very, very different. You can see here, notice the movement of my fingers. It's literally gone into a blur. That's because since the shutter was open and closing in 1 second, light was not able to pass uniformly, right? So it kind of just gives you like an average of the motion that you were doing. And this can be used to produce some really cool effects, okay, like you're going to see in this course. But right now, through this simple exercise, I just hope you understand how shutter speed affects movement and how it can really, really help us get creative with this. So before I end this video, just to inspire you, I just want to show you some really creative slow shutter speed shots and some fast shutter speed shots also. All right, so let's look at some examples of fast and slow shutter speed shots. So let's start off with the faster ones. Okay, so they are basically going to freeze the motion. And here you can see I've just taken the shot of a balloon which was bursting. So it was full of water. And you just prick the balloon and you can still capture it at, here the shutter speed I've used is 1/4000. Okay, in fact, in my photography for beginners extended course, which is like a much bigger course than this, okay, I actually show you how to take such a shot literally live on the location, as you can see in front of you. Okay, let's look at a couple of other shots. You can see like wildlife shots like this. You can freeze the motion. Portrait shots like this, you can freeze the motion. And you can see here is a shoot I did for a cafe where I just threw this ice cube in the water, and using a fast shutter speed of 1/1000, I was able to capture this. And here also you can see I just lit this match and immediately I was able to capture it using a fast shutter speed. Let's also look at a slow shutter speed shot. All right, so like I mentioned before, even blur can be used to your advantage. Give it just give it a very artistic effect. For example, here I was in Bangkok and I just used a shutter speed of around 2 seconds, and it really blurred this train. Of course, I was on the tripod, because when you use slow shutter speeds, you have to be on the tripod. I'll talk about tripods later on. Okay, you'll come to know that time. And you can see even these people must have moved, so they've come in a blur. One of my favorite shots that I've ever taken was this shot. Okay, where a lot of people were walking towards me, and I just used a very slow shutter speed, and I was able to just get a blur of all these people, producing like a ghost type of an effect. Okay, so also it can be used in waterfalls to blur it, to give it the silky effect. And all this I cover much more in detail. It's not possible to teach you in 2 minutes, okay, in my extended photography for beginners course. Here also I took this shot in Singapore, where you can see this water really became blurred using a slow shutter speed. This is one of my favorite shots. It even sells a lot on the internet. I sell this shot, and this is of the Sea Link, famous Sea Link bridge in Mumbai I took. And you can even, using a slow shutter speed, you can capture the light trails left by the cars, okay? And in fact, in my extended photography for beginners course, I actually take you out on the street and I show you how to take such a shot like you can see in front of you, okay? And also this is one of my other favorite light trail shots. I took this in Auckland, New Zealand. So you can see you can do a lot with slow shutter speed, okay? So I hope that at least this video just kind of inspired you as to what all is possible just by using this setting of shutter speed. I'll see you in the next setting, where we will be talking about ISO.